They called her useless until she became their boss. When Mia Parker got her first job at Granton Wells Marketing, she was 22, nervous, and completely invisible. She had graduated with honors, full of ideas and ambition, but the moment she stepped into that tall glass office, nobody saw her. On her first day, her manager, Mr. Stevens, looked up from his desk and said, "You're the intern, right? Coffee machine's over there." Mia wasn't the intern. She was the new junior analyst, but she smiled politely and went to get him coffee anyway. That's how it began, as the girl nobody listened to. Her first few months were brutal. She spent her days fixing PowerPoint slides from meetings she wasn't invited to and making copies for people who barely remembered her name. Her coworkers, dressed in perfect suits and fake smiles, talked loudly about campaigns and clients, but never asked for her opinion. The one time she did speak up, suggesting a bold new social media idea for a cafe client, the room fell silent. Then Daniel, the office golden boy, laughed and said, "Cute idea, Mia, but maybe stick to spreadsheets for now." The room chuckled. Mia chuckled too, but inside, she felt something break.
She cried quietly in the bathroom that day. Her friends told her to quit. Her parents said maybe she wasn't corporate material. But something in her refused to give up. She told herself, one day they'll listen. A few months later, that chance appeared. It was late on a Friday, and everyone else had left. Mia stayed behind, analyzing numbers for a struggling client, a small chain of cafes whose engagement had plummeted. While everyone else gave up on them, Mia saw potential. She spent the entire night designing a full rebranding campaign. New colors, new slogans, fresh energy. By sunrise, she'd built something brilliant. On Monday morning, she printed her proposal and left it on Mr. Stevens' desk with a hopeful note that said, "I think this could help." By Wednesday, the document was gone, but no one said a word. Then, 2 weeks later, she sat in a team meeting and watched Daniel present her exact campaign. Every color, every slogan, every word. The client loved it. Everyone applauded him. And when Mia tried to speak up, Mr. Stevens gave her a cold look and said, "Let's not make this about credit, Mia. Be a team player." She went home that night shaking, humiliated, and heartbroken. But she didn't quit. Not this time. Instead, she made a decision that would change everything. On weekends, she started freelancing, designing small branding projects for local businesses. She'd sit at her kitchen table until 2 a.m., sketching logos, editing videos, writing copy. It wasn't glamorous, but it was hers. Her first big client was a small bakery run by a single mom. After Mia rebranded their look, sales doubled within 3 months. Then a small clothing brand hired her, and one of her marketing videos went viral on TikTok. Her inbox exploded with requests. She built a small website and called her freelance business Rise Studio, because that's what she intended to do, rise. A year later, she had more clients than she could handle. And then, one day, her phone rang. It was a major brand, one of Granton Wells' oldest clients. They said, "We've seen your work online. We love your style. Would you be interested in managing our next campaign?" Mia froze. "Don't you already work with Granton Wells?" she asked. The client replied, "We did, but lately their campaigns feel uninspired. We want something fresh." That client was worth millions.
Within 6 months, her small studio became a proper agency with a tiny team and an office downtown. The success was sudden, wild, and overwhelming. And every step of the way, she kept her promise to herself, to rise with kindness, but never forget who had tried to silence her. One morning, her phone rang again. The name on the screen made her pause. It was Mr. Stevens. "Mia," he said with forced warmth. "We should meet, maybe collaborate. You've built something amazing." She smiled. "You mean now that I'm not useless?" There was silence. He cleared his throat. "Of course not. You've always had potential." "Funny," she said.
When Mia walked into that conference room, every face turned pale. Mr. Stevens looked like he'd seen a ghost. She smiled politely, placed her laptop on the table, and said, "Good morning, everyone. Let's talk about how we can help you rise again." No one dared speak for a full 10 seconds. For the next hour, Mia led the meeting with calm confidence. She analyzed their weaknesses, offered solutions, and delivered her presentation like a pro. She didn't gloat, she didn't brag. She simply showed them what true leadership looked like. At the end, Mr. Stevens looked up and said softly, "You've come a long way, Mia." She smiled and replied, "No, I just stopped waiting for someone else to believe in me." 2 years later, Rise Studio became one of the most successful digital agencies in the city. Mia hired young designers who reminded her of herself, shy, uncertain, but full of ideas. Whenever someone on her team said, "I don't think I'm good enough," she'd smile and say, "They told me the same thing once. Prove them wrong." And every time she signed a new contract, she remembered the girl who once made coffee for people who didn't know her name, the girl they called useless. But she wasn't useless. She was unstoppable. Because sometimes the quietest person in the room isn't the weakest. She's just waiting for her moment, the moment she becomes everyone's boss.